Hello, my name is Chris Robbins. I'm the Mayor of the London Borough of Waltham Forest. Can I welcome you to today's Holocaust Memorial event? It is a day to commemorate the 6 million people who were murdered during the Second World War. As many of you will know, we are never far away from oppression. Today is not only an event for commemoration, but also one of reflection to ensure that such an event doesn't happen again. A time for us not only to reflect, but to prepare. We hope that you will be engaged in the commemoration today, and my colleagues and myself welcome you again to our Holocaust Memorial Day 2021.
Holocaust Memorial Day was set as the 27th of January to remember the liberation of Auschwitz concentration camp in 1945 and remembers the antithesis of fellowship is life. In this appalling place, millions of people were either worked to death or murdered on an industrial scale. The vast majority of these were human beings of Jewish ancestry, but not forgetting those killed for their political or religious beliefs, and those who were thought to be disabled, mentally ill, or of simple mind. Waltham Forest has a long history of welcoming and integrating people of diverse and mixed heritages and cultures. This not only amplifies our town motto, but proves that fellowship is truly the lifeblood of our communities. In our living memory, we can learn of our borough's community of Eastern European Jews in the 1930s and 40s, the Windrush generations in the 1950s, Kenyan and Asians in the 60s, along with many from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and other parts of the world, making their homes in our community in the following years. Waltham Forest Standing Advisory Committee on Religious Education promotes this commemoration even though HMD is an educational topic which impacts studies beyond history and RE. This year's Holocaust Memorial Day theme is The Light in the Darkness. So please take a few minutes in this very dark time for our whole of humanity to remember all those killed in the Nazi Holocausts and those killed in cultural genocide subsequently, and to continue to work in the future to promote our borough's vitality and cohesion as a glowing example of what human communities can achieve.
Thank you for joining us to mark Holocaust Memorial Day at Waltham Forest. The theme for Holocaust Memorial Day 2021 is Be the Light in the Darkness, and your attendance is part of the national picture of Holocaust Memorial Day, with thousands of activities taking place across the UK.
My name's Richard Sweden. I'm a Waltham Forest councillor and I sit on the Standing Advisory Council for Religious Education. Holocaust Memorial Day means a lot to me. Although I identify as a Christian, I am of Jewish heritage in that my father was a secular Jew, and also my mother, who wasn't Jewish, was descended from some of the oldest Jewish families in the country going back at least to the 18th century. I also identify as a gay man. So the events of the Holocaust impinge on me personally. I would like to share with you a poem by W.H. Auden, Refugee Blues. This poem was written in March of 1939 when the Kindertransport was in full swing and many others living in Nazi Germany in their occupied territories were seeking to escape. And of course it was after the infamous Kristallnacht, when a great deal of violence was perpetrated against Jewish persons and Jewish property in the occupied territories and Germany itself. So here we go with Refugee Blues. Say this city has 10 million souls. Some are living in mansions, some are living in holes. Yet there's no place for us, my dear. There's no place for us. Once we had a country and we thought it fair. Look in the atlas and you'll find it there. We cannot go there now, my dear. We cannot go there now. In the village churchyard there grows an old yew. Every spring it blossoms anew. Old passports can't do that, my dear. Old passports can't do that. The consul banged the table and said, "You've got no passport. You're officially dead." But we are still alive, my dear. But we are still alive. Went to a committee. They offered me a chair, asked me politely to return next year. But where shall we go today, my dear? But where shall we go today? Came to a public meeting. The speaker got up and said, "If we let them in, they'll steal our daily bread." He was talking of you and me, my dear. He was talking of you and me. Thought I heard the thunder rumbling in the sky. It was Hitler over Europe saying, "They must die." Oh, we were in his mind, my dear. Oh, we were in his mind. Saw a poodle in a jacket fastened with a pin. Saw a door opened and the cat let in. But they weren't German Jews, my dear. But they weren't German Jews. Went down the harbour and stood upon the quay. Saw the fish swimming as if they were free. Only 10 feet away, my dear. Only 10 feet away. Walked through a wood, saw the birds in the trees. They had no politicians and sang at their ease. But they weren't the human race, my dear. They weren't the human race. Dreamt I saw a building with 1,000 floors, 1,000 windows and 1,000 doors. Not one of them was ours, my dear. Not one of them was ours. Stood on a great plain in the falling snow. 10,000 soldiers marched to and fro. Looking for you and me, my dear. Looking for you and me.
Hello, my name is Ruth Kaufman and I'm a local humanist. I'm speaking today on Holocaust Memorial Day as a non-religious person because people with no belief in God or in an afterlife also were murdered in the Holocaust. We also mourn, and we also believe that we should do all we can to prevent more of man's inhumanity to man during this one life that we believe we have. I'm going to read some excerpts from the writings of Primo Levi. Primo Levi was Italian. He was ethnically Jewish by descent, but he was a non-believer. He was captured while he was fighting for the Italian resistance, and he spent 11 months in Auschwitz. His book, If This Is a Man, begins with this poem. You, who live safe in your warm houses, you, who find warm food and friendly faces when you return home, consider if this is a man who works in mud, who knows no peace, who fights for a crust of bread, who dies by a yes or no. Consider if this is a woman, without hair, without name, without the strength to remember. Empty are her eyes, cold her womb like a frog in winter. Never forget that this has happened. Remember these words, engrave them in your hearts, when at home or in the street, when lying down, when getting up, repeat them to your children. Or may your houses be destroyed, may illness strike you down, may your offspring turn their faces from you. He also wrote, Auschwitz is outside of us, but it is all around us in the air. The plague has died away, but the infection still lingers, and it would be foolish to deny it. Rejection of human solidarity, obtuse and cynical indifference to the suffering of others, abdication of the intellect and of moral sense to the principle of authority, and above all, at the root of everything, a sweeping tide of cowardice, a colossal cowardice which masks itself as warring virtue, love of country, and faith in an idea. And finally, more important today than ever, we must be listened to. It happened, therefore it can happen again. This is the core of what we have to say. It can happen, and it can happen everywhere. Thank you very much.
Hello, this is Paul Neville. I'm the Director of Digital and ICT for the London Borough of Waltham Forest. I'm going to read to you today the Holocaust Memorial Day prayer. As a descendant of victims of the Holocaust, this is particularly meaningful for me. Kel Malei Rachamim, the Holocaust Memorial Prayer, which means God full of compassion, is a Jewish prayer for the departed that is recited at funeral services on visiting the graves of relatives, especially during the holy month of Elul, and after having been called up to the reading of the Torah on the anniversary of death of a close relative. The prayer originated in Jewish communities of Western Europe and Eastern Europe, and since the end of the Holocaust, the prayer has been adapted as a memorial prayer for the victims of the Holocaust and Nazi persecution. I'm firstly going to read it in Hebrew, and then I'll read the translation. Kel Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechona, Al Kanfei HaShechina, B'mahalot Kedoshim, Utorim Kazar Rakia Mazirim Et Nishmat, Acheinu B'nei Israel HaKadoshim, והטהורים שנפלו בידי הרוצחים ונשפך דמם באושוויץ מידני טרבלינקה ושם מחנות השמד באירופה שנהרגו שנשחטו ונשרפו ושנטבעו שנחנקו על קידוש השם בעבור שכל כולם פה מתפללים בעד הזכרת נשמתם בגלי דנתי מנוחתם לכן בעל הרחמים יסתרים בסתר כנפיך לעולמים ויצרו בצרור החיים את נשמתם השם הוא נחלתם וינוחו על משכבותם ושלום ונאמר אמן. O God, who is full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant perfect rest in your divine presence to all the souls of our holy and pure brethren whose blood was spilt by the murderers in Auschwitz, Belzec, Bergen-Belsen, Dachau, Majdanek, Sobibor, Treblinka, and all the other extermination camps in Europe, who were killed, strangled, burned, buried alive for the sanctification of your name, for whose souls we now pray. May their resting place be in the Garden of Eden. May the Master of Mercies shelter them in the shadow of his wings for eternity, and may he bind their souls in the bond of life. The Lord is their heritage, and may they repose in peace in their resting places. And let us say, Amen.
Reading is an important act of remembrance. Children learn what type of person they will be by reading about the lives of others. They learn empathy by reading about the feelings of others, and they learn about history by understanding the experience of others. Anne Frank holds a special place in literature as it shows children all these things and the awful fact that must be learnt, that terrible things happen even if you are good. Recently, during lockdown, I read Anne Frank's diary with my children, and I was reminded of how special her story is and how remembering the daily facts of what happened are vital to our children and young people today. Children need hope and they need aspiration to thrive. Anne teaches us how important hope is at the very worst of times. She writes in her diary, "It is difficult in times like these. Ideals and dreams and cherished hopes rise within us, only to be crushed by grim reality. It's a wonder I haven't abandoned all my ideals. They seem so absurd and so impractical, yet I cling to them because I still believe, in spite of everything, that people are truly good at heart."
Despite the horrors of the Holocaust, we know that genocides have taken place since. Indeed, the Holocaust prompted the coining of the legal term genocide, which has come to be used in Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur. Closer to home on our streets, on public transport, and online, people are still facing attacks because of who they are. Holocaust Memorial Day presents an opportunity when people from all backgrounds come together to learn from the past and create a better future. It serves as a reminder that all of us not only have the ability to resist the forces of hatred, we have a responsibility to do so. That includes everyone who has joined us today, and is why we are asking each of you to be the light in the darkness. I will close this event by sharing the words of Holocaust survivor Gina Tergel, MBE, who sadly passed away in 2018. Gina said, "We will continue to do our bit for as long as we can, secure in the knowledge that others will continue to light a candle long after us. Thank you."